Hello everyone, this is ACHAIA Akaya, and we are in game number 3, the Ace match, the final deciding match for the all-time championship of all time between SC2 Armory and Vile Gaming. Yes, I said the all-time championship of all time. But anyways, 13 alongside casting these games with me once again. So 13, what's going on, man? What do you expect to see in this Ace matchup between Azreal and KillerPlague?
Well, you know, both games that we've seen from these two players so far, we've basically seen both of them go the same tech pattern. So I'm hoping, you know, we saw Azreal go tanks with, you know, some infantry units, and then we also saw KillerPlague go, you know, fast Colossi with some Stalkers and some Zealots mixed in. So I hope that we can see maybe some different tech patterns from the two, just so we can have a little bit of, you know, a difference in this game.
Yeah, it seems like there's been slight variations between the two games. The biggest variation for Azreal last game was that he did not build a second factory, so he was pretty far behind in the tank count, as we mentioned when we were casting last game. And once again, too, if you guys haven't watched the other games, I just want to draw a quick note from this. Azreal constantly builds his initial buildings inside his base. Most Terran players you see will build 2 supply depots and barracks, or 3 supply depots at the entrance here, and completely wall off this choke, because this ramp is really small and it only takes 3 of those initial buildings to wall it off. And as you can see, KillerPlague scouted really early, so he could still get in there pretty early on, but once you have 1 Marine out, it's very easy to take down that scouting probe. So I'm not sure exactly why he doesn't block off his choke, but I think that is definitely something that he could benefit from if he tried to do that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why he doesn't do that either. I have seen some pretty high-level players do that, and so I'm assuming there's a reason to it, but I'm not good enough to know.
Yeah, maybe I need to do a little bit more research and find out exactly what that is. Anyways, this map is Incineration Zone. This is one of the new maps that was added with the patch. What was it, patch 9 or patch 11 or something like that?
I think it was 9 was the big one, yeah.
So yeah, they added this with the new maps that came out with patch 9. It's a 2-player map. I haven't seen it played a whole lot, to be honest. And I'm not sure if that's because people don't like it, or if it just doesn't happen to come up in the map rotations a lot. But I personally am not a huge fan of this map. Being a Zerg player myself, one of the things I hate, and I know Artosis has mentioned this as well, the initial expansion out here for any Zerg players that like to fast expand is extremely close in ground distance to your opponent, which, as you can see right here, here's their expansion, and there's the ramp to their main base. All you got to do is go right out across the middle here, and you are at your opponent's base, which the rust distance is about the same, if not a little bit shorter than Broken Steps. Or I'm sorry, not Broken Steps, that's StarCraft 1. Steps of War is what I'm thinking of. But yeah, it's a very, very short rush distance by ground, so it makes it extremely difficult to fast expand as a Zerg player, which I love to do.
Yeah, this is a map that I don't like really too much either, Akaya. I don't know if any of you realize this, but I did play a tournament game on this map, and I probably, you know, had the biggest noob move of my life when I had about 17 probes mining one assimilator. So I hate this map because of that. But I also don't like it just because of how spaced out those, you know, those mineral patches are. I don't really know if it slows you down, but it just feels weird to me.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're spaced out a little bit more than other bases. I'm not sure if that's enough to actually slow down the mining patterns of your worker units or not. I'm actually kind of curious about that now. I might have to do a little bit of testing and research on that, see what I come up with. But anyways, Azreal once again getting his barracks and going straight for the factory. We'll see if he tries to go for starport. We have not seen him go for any starport play yet in the tournament, which I'm kind of surprised, because he's built a couple of armies that have been pretty heavy on the infantry. So getting some medevacs in the mix with that is actually probably a really good idea. I'm surprised to see that he hasn't pulled that out yet.
Yeah, we don't see a RoboBay yet from KillerPlague, which is a little bit different than what he normally does. You know, last game he did go 2-gate then robo facility, so maybe we'll see that happen here.
Yeah, he does like to get his robotics facility out very quickly after his cybernetics core usually. But it looks like instead he has actually opted to build a few units initially. We do not yet see a cybernetics core on the way, so as you mentioned, we may be seeing something different. Perhaps he'll go for a Templar tech of some sort.
That would be nice. I love the Templar.
Anyways, looking back at the base of Azreal, it looks like he is sticking with his standard tech pattern right now. He's got 1 barracks and 1 factory out still, and just cranking out some supply depots in the back of his base here. And it looks like he's going to stick with this primarily infantry tank army, which, as we've mentioned, he's done that every game so far. So KillerPlague should be well prepared to handle this as he moves his first few units out across the map. He's got a couple Stalkers, a couple Zealots, and 1 Sentry here to throw down any force fields or guardian shields he may need. And it looks like there is actually going to be a proxy pylon out by the Zelnaga watchtower, which will allow him to warp in reinforcements pretty quick to the front lines of the battles here.
Yeah, I like that strategy. He's putting that pylon in. You know, it's a pretty obvious place, but normally your units will travel underneath it, so I don't think Azreal will see it.
Yeah, and it looks like, oh man, these units by KillerPlague are going to get dominated if they try to face off against this Terran army, because there are just so many more units. But it looks like the KillerPlague had to actually move his probe out of the way, because he actually had to move it because this Marine out here was scouting out and actually ran into it. So he had to actually pull it up here at the top to hide it so that they didn't see that proxy pylon going down. I'm not sure if he's going to try to put that down again or not. It looks like he's actually putting a proxy pylon over here, which I'm not sure why. That doesn't really get him any closer. It actually may be further away from his opponent's base. But I don't know. Perhaps he's planning on hiding some kind of tech over there.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't get that either.
And it looks like he is getting a robotics facility right now, so he's not going to be going for any kind of Templar tick, at least not initially. We'll see if he tries to change that up a little bit later. But a couple more barracks going down right now for Azreal, so it looks like once again he is going to be heavier on the infantry and not as many tanks, which we'll see if that pays off. The first game, it was very, very tank heavy, which was great against the Colossi, but it looks like there are immortals, so having those infantry is definitely going to be a better option. But it looks like KillerPlague is actually breaking down the destructible rocks in the back of his base. If you have not seen this map before, notice that if you break down the destructible rocks at your entrance, that gives you access to another expansion in the back corner of the map here, and then you can break down another set of destructible rocks, which actually